Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. From websites and online stores, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence.
Hello friends and Happy New Year. I hope that you've had a good start to 2023. For me, it has been very gloomy the past couple of weeks in terms of actual sunlight getting into my studio. So I have a bunch of lights on to try and compensate. But anyways, I normally do a art goals video at the start of the year, but I decided this year I'm not going to make any specific or concrete art goals or New Year's resolutions because I find it's just doesn't seem to be really working for me. And so I decided this year I'm just going to go with the flow. And in my most recent live stream, I had some people suggest that I do a tour of all of my monthly favorites. And so I thought that was a great way to kick off the new year. For those of you who don't know, in the year of 2022, last year, I did a sketchbook spread every month featuring all of my favorite things, whether it was movies, TV shows, music, events that I went to, or things that I got up to in my day-to-day life, and include vlog footage, photos, GIFs, or images for reference to all the different things. And it's sort of like a summary of my year. So I really liked doing this. It's cool to look back on all the things that I got up to because time moves so quickly and there are so many instances where I forgot what I did, or it's just a nice little like memory capsule. So anyway, I hope that you enjoy going along this little journey with me, and I'll see you at the end. First is January, and initially I didn't really think about how it would look in terms of with a spread. So I think this month, and December is the only month where it's a standalone next to something else. This, of course, is a screenshot redraw paint with me of the scene in the BTS music video Boy With Love. I have a whole video on it if you're interested. I used the jelly gouache on that, but moving on to the actual monthly favorites page here. So first up we have, I spent New Year's Eve and New Year's Day with my friend, and we did a really cute pancake fruit mimosa morning on New Year's Day, very sweet. And then number 2, I bought some Regal Rose rings. They are probably one of my favorite jewelry brands. I actually am wearing all Regal Rose right now. Number 3, we have Hyen, which is a character, the main character from a webtoon called Unholy Blood that I was obsessed with. The final chapter I had read in January, and the series is now done. It's about vampires. The style is amazing. I really enjoyed that series. Number 4, we of course have Henry Cavill as The Witcher. Very sad about the recast. I think this must have been after watching season 2. And number 5, we have this hilarious video compilation that was going around of Elmo from Sesame Street, who was just very angry at another Sesame Street character about her pet Rocco. It's hilarious. Look it up. It brings me immense joy. And then number 6, I was listening to a lot of Lil Nas X's album. I forget what the album is titled. I will put it up here, but this was sort of a homage to the very fantasy-esque album cover for that. Moving on to February, this is when I had decided that I wanted them to be double spreads because I think it just looks very satisfying seeing them all together here. So February here, I really love this color palette. It's very unusual for me. And initially, it was very unusual for me at the time, the green and the purple, which I have since sort of really adopted into my work after this. Number 1 was Vox Machina, which is the Critical Role animated series. I've never actually listened to Critical Role, but I really, really enjoyed the series. I actually made a poll on Instagram asking which character they wanted to see. So, of course, Percy 1 makes sense because the arc was mostly based around him. Number 2 was chat time. They often release BT21, BTS themed drinks. So they had released one during the month of February, which I had, and it was delicious. They actually have another one going on right now, which I've had as well. They now do these like color changing cups. I don't have one, but my friend has one. Very cute. Number 3, I celebrated my friend Chris's birthday, and she had made this Earl Grey cake, and it was delicious. And of course, celebrating her birthday was very fun. Number 4, for Galentine's Day, my friends and I got together and we just caught up, drank some rosé, and ordered a heart-shaped pizza because, of course, we did. And number 5, I finally started watching Attack on Titan, and to a lot of people's surprise, Jean is my favorite. I just love him. And I feel like he really set the color tone for this page, which ended up really, really vibing with me in an unexpected way.
But before we continue, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. If you are familiar with my channel, I'm sure you've heard many times that I love using Squarespace for having all of my work in one place in a very professional manner. So of course, I had to make a new page for my January favorites to keep things organized. And I love how intuitive this platform is to use, from organizing the order of the images, from the scaling of the images in a very neat gallery without me having to adjust the images. I can do different colors for the background, and I can even edit the photos directly on Squarespace so that they all look cohesive, which just makes everything so much more streamlined. So if you happen to be looking for a website for yourself, head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and you're ready to launch. Go to squarespace.com/imawonder for 10% off your purchase of a website or domain.
March is, I think, one of my favorite spreads. It just went well together. Number 1 had bought some BT21 slippers, which I'm literally wearing on my feet right now. This is J-Hope's character, Mang, and they're so cozy and adorable. I love them. Number 2, the K-pop group Stray Kids, they had their comeback, and the title track was Maniac. Was obsessed with Hyunjin's bright red hair, full anime villain vibes. Number 3 was Charlie XCX had dropped her album, which was called Crash, and a lot of the promo and the album cover was her in this bikini in like a car crash essentially, so I had to include that in some way. And lastly, speaking of anime villains, the Jujutsu Kaisen movie came out and I saw it in theaters. It was amazing. I loved it. And I really like Geto. And so very anime villain vibes all around, except for the Sunshine Hobie slippers, which is hilarious. But the color scheme worked really well. This is the April and May spread, much brighter and cuter. I was probably really feeling the spring vibes. So for April, number 1, we have Anya from the anime Spy Family. So cute, so wholesome, love it. Then second, we have Heaven Official's Blessing, which is a Chinese animated series, which is based off a book, and it also has a manhwa. It is so beautiful. It was my first time watching a Chinese series, so loved the aesthetic and how a lot of it feels very reminiscent of a Japanese anime, but there are elements and storytelling kind of vibes to it that are a little bit different, and the series is just beautiful. I love it. Very excited for season 2, whenever that comes out. Number 3 here, this was to represent my weekend trip to Montreal with my friends. There was a lot of cocktail drinking, so that's what I have included here, and it was a really, really fun trip. I have included like a big chunk of it in one of my vlogs back in the springtime. Number 4, this was around when I had moved into my new apartment and I was, furnishing the space, and which was also included in that vlog. And yeah, one of my favorite pieces that I had purchased was this seashell type looking chair. It's very cute. I love it. And number 5, we have Lady Camden from RuPaul's Drag Race season. I forget which season it was. There's so many, but I loved this run because I absolutely love Moulin Rouge. So when I heard that they did a Moulin Rouge musical, I of course had to watch the series, and Lady Camden killed it in her role. For the month of May, we have number 1, I had made a plushie with Makeship. Unfortunately, it did not get funded, so there is just a single plushie just for me personally of my character Momo. And, you know, it is a little bit of a bummer that the project didn't go through, but that's just the way things go, unfortunately. And it's all a learning experience, so can't all be successes. Number 2, we have Rina Sawayama. I think that the single This Hell had come out, which I was obsessed with. I don't think the full album had dropped just yet, but the album was great. But This Hell was just a fantastic song. Number 3, I believe this was to represent all of my housewarming gifts that I've been receiving from my friends and family from moving into my new apartment. So I'd received some plants and a candle, very sweet. And then number 4, we have Heartstopper, which is a Netflix TV show based off of a webtoon. Extremely wholesome. I love it so much, and I'm very, very excited for season 2. Highly recommend if you are looking for a very sweet, wholesome, heartfelt queer story. Very coming of age. Adore it. June and July, very much summer vibes for sure. The colors are just so vibrant, very blue. June was a very K-pop heavy month, it would seem. Number 1, it was BTS's anniversary, their 9th anniversary. And so I had gone to some like cup sleeve events for their anniversary, which was really, really sweet. They have a number of different pop-ups in the city where they do like special bubble tea drinks and little cupcakes and decorate so you can take photos and meet other people and stuff. It's extremely wholesome. And then I also they had dropped their anthology album, and they had released 3 new songs, Run BTS, Yet to Come, and For Youth, which is hard to see, but I use this chrome marker and it is so, so cool. It's actually the only time I've ever used the chrome marker in this series, I guess, and looks very cool. And up here, I believe this was just to represent me hanging out with my friend. I had made us this cute Calpico soju strawberry cocktail thing, very aesthetic, very delicious. And number 3, this kind of kickstarted my second K-pop obsession, which is 17. Their title track, of course, was Hot, and this is my man Mingyu in his like opening sequence in the music video. Moving on to July, I kind of love that June and July basically have the same color palette. It's pretty satisfying to look at all together. I don't think it was intentional, but in any case. So number 1, my friends from college came to visit and we spent the day together. It was really fun. We went to the AGO and I finally got to check out Yayao Kusama's installation art piece that she has, Infinity Mirrors. Incredible. Unfortunately, you're only able to be there for like a minute, but it was really, really cool. Number 2, this is my friend's cat, Reese. This was sort of to represent when I went to Montreal Comic-Con, which was my first convention since the pandemic. So it was amazing, not only to see my friend, but also to go to Montreal to hang out and also go back to conventions. It was a really fantastic time and I'm so excited to go back. And number 3, we have World, which was the single for 17's repackage of their album. And the song is so cute and just brings me so much joy. Number 4, J-Hope of BTS dropped his first full-length solo album, Jack in the Box. I love it. So good. And this was to represent that album, which he had a very, of course, Jack in the Box, but also kind of this edgy boy emo vibe to it. I'm obsessed. I absolutely love the whole branding of it. And number 5, we have Sasaki to Miyano, which is just so sweet and wholesome. Honestly, like if you liked Heartstopper, this is basically a very similar energy and vibe, but in a anime form. It is so adorable. There were so many times when I was just squealing from how pure and sweet it was. And the style is so airy and colorful, like pastel-y and colorful. It's beautiful. And then moving into August and September, unfortunately, this probably was my least favorite spread here. I'm not really sure what happened. Maybe I just was doing too many colors, but in any case, we have number 1 here. I did karaoke with some friends, super fun. Number 2, I went roller skating, and this was my second time roller skating with my friends. We had also roller skated last summer as well, and I didn't fall this time, so I was really proud of myself for that. Number 3, I went out with some college friends to Stormcrow Manor, which is a really fun, nerdy, fandom-themed bar here in Toronto, and you can get a gigantic Darth Vader helmet as a giant drink, and basically they just shove a bunch of straws into it. It's like hollowed out, and it's a whole spectacle when you order it. Very much like a tiki bar. If you've been to a tiki bar, they play the Star Wars music, and they have the waiter sort of like present it to you. It's so extra. I love it. Very, very fun. Highly recommend checking out Stormcrow if you're ever visiting Toronto / if you already live here. Number 4, I believe it was the 3rd season of Never Have I Ever. I love this show. It's so fun. Mindy Kaling's writing is hilarious. And this is Davy, who is the main character from the show. And number 5 was to represent, I went out to brunch and the beach a couple of times with some friends. August was a very social month for me, it would seem, because it was summertime, and so obviously I was out and about hanging out with people. But yeah, there's this brunch place called School, and it is so delicious. I've been there twice now, and I've ordered the same thing each time just because it's so good. It's their cheesy French toast or something. It's like sweet and savory at the same time. It's so good. And yeah, the entire restaurant is themed kind of like a school, which is very cute. They were actually playing Recess on the TVs when we were there, so loved that. Moving into September, I got up to some live performances. So number 1, these are actually just thigh-high boots that I bought on sale. I'm obsessed with them. I don't wear them super often because they're pretty extra, but I do feel like a badass bitch when I do wear them. Number 2, we have Trixie and Katya live. If you are a RuPaul's Drag Race fan, I'm sure you are familiar with them. They have tons of YouTube videos as well, and their show was incredible. It was so funny, so well done, and it really exceeded my expectations. I had a great time. Number 3 was I listened to the audiobook of Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, which was I'm Glad My Mom Died. And the cover of the book is her holding an urn. So that's why I have that there. Very insightful, heartbreaking, but also really interesting memoir for sure. Especially if you are morbidly intrigued by what the child star pipeline kind of looks like. I'm sure that not everyone's story looks like that, but I'm sure a lot of people's does, unfortunately. And number 4, which was probably the highlight of my entire year, was going to see 17 in concert. This tour was titled Be the Sun, which is their album that came out this year. And oh my God, they were amazing. I mean, if you saw my summer vlog, you will have seen a ton of footage that I included from the show. They were so good. And the energy, not only from them, but also the audience, was impeccable. It was just amazing. If I could relive any moment of 2022, it would be this concert for sure. And moving into spooky season, October is my favorite month of the year. I will admit this is also a spread that I didn't love, but regardless, I really enjoyed my October. Number 1 here, I had started doing a lot of thrift shopping, which has been really, really fun. I particularly love this Polaris 80s ski jacket that I found. It is also included in my vlog if you've seen it. It is so 80s-tastic. Number 2, my friends and I had a Halloween movie night, and we finally got around to watching Interview with a Vampire, which I had never seen before but had wanted to. The 1990s film. I have not watched the TV show yet, but I've heard good things. So this is Brad Pitt's character, who his character's name is escaping me at this moment, but I loved him in it, and I really liked that movie. Kirsten Dunst, so good. Number 3, this is to represent my birthday. I had received a bouquet of roses from my friend, and then I actually dried them, so now they've darkened to this spooky deep burgundy, and I'm obsessed with it. It looks so good, and I had so much fun celebrating my birthday with my friends. I had made the dress code theme It's Your Villain era, so everybody was dressed in black. It was great. I loved it. And then number 4, I went to 2 Halloween events because I love Halloween, so of course I did. And so the first one, I went to a BTS dance party, but it was also a Halloween party. So everyone was dressed up on theme of some kind of BTS reference. So I dressed up as a clown/jester in reference to the Jack in the Box album from J-Hope, which I had drawn here. So I was doing that vibe. And then another night, my friends and I, we all dressed up as different Britney Spears eras. I, of course, wanted to do the Hit Me Baby One More Time. I'm not gonna lie, I think I did a pretty good job. My friends and I looked really cute, I'm not gonna lie. It was very, very fun. Moving on to November, which is also another favorite spread of mine. I think the color scheme just worked out so well. Number 1 here, we have the Sugar Bones purse that I purchased. Highly recommend checking out Sugar Bones. Her artwork is amazing, and she has lots of cool products. So when she dropped these spider purses, I of course had to grab one. Number 2, this is the light stick for Blackpink. I went to another K-pop concert, and Blackpink was a lot of fun. They killed it. Number 3, I took advantage of the Black Friday sales and I snagged some really chunky black loafers, which I love. They add a really fun edge without being a combat boot to my wardrobe because I love me some variety and I've never had loafers before, so really into these chunky soles. And number 4, of course, the Netflix TV show Wednesday. This is Enid and Wednesday here, and I'm just the way that this month worked out of having black and pink, Blackpink, Enid, Wednesday, the fashion, the vibes. It worked out so well. I'm really into this color scheme and this spread. And last but not least, December, which I literally just finished before filming this, which is why there are little bits of paint on my hands still. And yeah, this is the last month here. Number 1, I went to the aquarium, which was really, really fun. I Loved watching the stingrays. They're so mesmerizing, and one of the highlights, I think, of the aquarium. Of course, in the aquarium, there's also like a big tunnel, which is so cool to see, like the sharks kind of floating over top, and the jellyfish are also a highlight as well. Number 2, this is Aki from the anime/manga Chainsaw Man. I just finished watching season 1. Very, very cool series. Very gory, just as a warning if you are interested in checking it out. Aki for sure is my favorite so far. I think maybe Power would be my second favorite character, but yeah, love Aki. So of course I had to draw him there. Number 3, this is to represent, I got to see the 1975 in concert. I went to a lot of concerts this year, which I'm very thankful for. The set decoration for the stage was really, really cool. I loved that it felt almost like a musical, and that the way that they structured the show had like a narrative, and the staging and lighting and everything was just so well done. And so part of the set is it has a bunch of old kind of vintage looking TVs stacked together. So that's what I wanted to represent here. And the lead single, I believe, for the new album is called Happiness. So that is what I decided to include there. Number 3 seems like a running theme this year. Lots of soju and hanging out with friends. We got ramen for dinner, and then we also went to karaoke because me and my friends really like karaoke. And then lastly, down at the bottom here, for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, my friend and I, we just stayed in and watched 17's In the Soup, which is a series that they did where they basically went on a cabin holiday getaway thing. It's very wholesome, super chill, and the boys are just so entertaining, and I loved it. So it was a good way to end and start my year. I'd love to know maybe which spread is your favorite. I think for me, it's sort of a tie between November and March. I'm sort of torn between, I think, these two as like singular spreads, but if I had to pick like the double spread, definitely February and March is my favorite. And that concludes today's video. I hope that you enjoyed kind of going through my 2022 via sketchbook pages. I highly recommend doing this little challenge if you find that you want some kind of excuse to fill up your sketchbooks a little more. I've been really enjoying all of the live streams that I've been doing as well. If you haven't seen them, I have live streams for almost every single month when I was working on the pages. So if you like having some company or background noise while you're working, they serve great for that. And yeah, I do plan to do this again this year. I'm torn between whether or not I use alcohol markers or acrylic paint markers. I'd love to know if you have a preference or what you would like to see. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have an amazing day or evening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.